home here. He is out of the saddle. He is 5 kilometers to go. This is an incredible way to say farewell to your life as a pro bike rider. His last time trial in the Tour de France. He is in such a hurry to get back to those kids on the finishing line. Look at this, he's through. 1:5:51, that's the time. Ullrich is second now. Armstrong is going to win the stage. He is leaving the Tour de France in perfect condition.
35-second beating there at that 49.7 kilometer check over Jan Ullrich. These two men, Phil, have been locked in battle over so many years, and once again Armstrong seems to be taking the upper hand. Look at his face there. He seems to be looking up the road to see if he can see the finishing banner. Well, he's still got around about 5 kilometers to get there. He really is concentrated this afternoon. You know, he did not want to win this Tour de France without winning a single stage out on course.
And at 3 kilometers to go, up 1.5 kilometers ahead of Lance Armstrong, Ivan Basso is now 2 minutes slower than him at this point in time. He's going to be only in 4th or 5th place. Not a bad ride, but not a great ride. It's time to dance with Lance now, because he's running towards the line at full speed. And this guy, let's make it 65 kilometers, because he's going faster and faster and faster.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, if this is Dance with Lance, this is probably going to be the last dance for Lance this afternoon as he heads out into the outskirts of Saint-Etienne. Just watch the way he goes through this corner, sweeps across the apex, not even a blip on the horizon. He doesn't change his trajectory one fraction to keep his speed nice and high. I would estimate here he's probably riding at around about 55 kilometers an hour.
Well, just look at him. He never alters his body position. He just kicks harder with those big muscles and those legs, and a cadence of more than 100 revs a minute. As he knows now, he is setting the best time. He will hear in his ears. He will just go faster and faster and faster. And poor old Michael Rasmussen's just gone through the last check. 7 minutes and 18 seconds off the pace. 81st place. I think he'd be in 6th or 7th place overall. So he'd be, yeah, 6th or 7th place.
He is seriously going to plummet here this afternoon in the overall classification on a day when he was hoping to stay on the podium, and that's going to be a very tough sandwich for him to eat this evening. But he will take away from the Tour de France a stage win, and he'll take away the King of the Mountains classification. This man, though, is looking to try and take away the final individual time trial around Saint-Etienne. Funny, you know, the last time there was a time trial in the Tour de France at Saint-Etienne, it was Jan Ullrich the winner, and Ullrich has stopped the clock with the fastest time, but he's still got his arch rival, arch enemy out on course with the fastest time at 49.7 kilometers covered.
It seems an awful long time ago since Jan Ullrich finished, but the gaps are 3 minutes and more now, because poor Michael Rasmussen, he's behind the field, so it'll be nearly 6 before we see, maybe more, 7 before we see the arrival of Ivan Basso. Well, he'll be next in.
Basso seems to have gone to pieces. He doesn't really seem to be getting the energy out that he was in the time trials at the Giro d'Italia. You know, we're estimating, and it's always very difficult to estimate the finish time of Lance Armstrong, but I just did a quick calculation and estimated his time on the line to be 1:10:59.
Well,
and that is a massive beating of the time of Jan Ullrich.
1 minute 10-second beating of Ullrich, and it's going to be a beating, let's face it. It's going to be a beating of Jan Ullrich here. There's no doubt about that. Armstrong is going to win the time trial. He's going to win the Tour de France. His team's going to win the white jersey. Boy, I hope they've got plenty of champagne in that following car tomorrow.
Ivan Basso is suffering here. He knows he's got to battle. He's got to turn himself inside out to make sure he can stay in second place. He lost second place overall in the Tour de France last year in this very discipline. He's now not too far away. He's done a great ride. He's rivaling the time of his own teammate Bobby Julich, but he's going to go outside of that as he comes up to the final corner. And you know what, Phil? This is going to seem like an awful long way for him.
Well, Bobby Julich has beaten his team captain. That's a great feather in Bobby's hat. They're both on CSC. It's a great team this year. And as they come up to the line, Basso probably has done enough now to keep his second place finish in the Tour de France. All that pain has been worthwhile, but he had to get plenty of time in the mountains to hold off a fighting Jan Ullrich. The best time is still 1:20:09 as Basso finishes 1.5 minutes slower. He drops behind Julich in 4th.
Well, 4th place on the stage. He lost around about 1 minute and 34 seconds of his advantage, so he will still be in 2nd overall this evening. but already in the streets of Saint-Etienne is the man from the Lone Star state of Texas. Lance Armstrong is ticking his legs over as he was over the first kilometre of this time trial at around, look at that, Phil, that is poetry in motion.
It is the picture we will never see again. All of the following cars behind a rider in yellow we've come to know since 1999, the master of the race of truth, and that's what it's been today for everybody. And don't mention poor old Michael Rasmussen either. Armstrong is you won't believe what the crowd are doing here. They are leaping in every direction as Lance Armstrong brings his time trialing career in any race, particularly the Tour de France, to an end. He brings it to an end as a winner. The first ever stage he has won this year, the first bike race he has won this year. Armstrong wins the time trial and wins the Tour de France.
1:11:46. In fact, he lost a little bit of time to Jan Ullrich over the end, and his face was a picture of pain coming up to the line. But Phil, he's done it. He did what he wanted to do. He's won an individual stage of the Tour de France. He's broken his duck, and there he is. He's really pushed himself here this afternoon, and he will be very satisfied with that. He can relax tomorrow on the Champs-Élysées.
The mob has started to getting quickly round for prize presentation, but Lance Armstrong delivers the blow that gives him a stage victory. His 22nd since he started winning, plus of course his 3 team victories in the team time trial.
He lost 12 seconds to Jan Ullrich over the last 5 or 6 kilometres of the event, just because of the fact that that part of the course really suited Ullrich. But you can see him here. He's in pain, he's pushing himself, and he probably will never ever in his life have to push himself into the pain barrier quite as much as he's doing here.
Look at that face. Daddy's back, boys, and he's back in just over 71 minutes and 46 seconds. They hardly noticed he'd been away, and he's back as a winner of a stage and the winner of the Tour de France.
Well, we've got to wait for about 5 or 6 minutes, Phil, before Michael Rasmussen comes in. Not sure where Armstrong's off to. Oh, I think he's probably got to go to the doping control. Here is Michael Rasmussen. He's going to plummet down the overall classification, but what a story he's got to tell this evening. 2 crashes, 4 bike changes, and not a lot of fun in the Tour de France for him. But he is the king of the mountains.
And he's now challenging 73rd position. He'll slip out of that podium place in Paris. He'll be there anyway as a winner of the King of the Mountains. He's won a stage. This was a bonus after all, and now it's not. A terrible, terrible day for Michael. He comes over the line in 76th position with a time 7:47 slower than Lance Armstrong.
What a story for that man. Very sad day for him, and everything went wrong, and that's the way it happens sometimes. But you know what? Since 1999, it's never really gone wrong like that for one man. This is the man. Lance Armstrong has never had that luck. When you've got the form, when you've got the condition, it just seems as if Lady Luck is on your side.
Well, Armstrong, the face is showing all the pain of the day, but it's a happy day now, isn't it? Looking here at Sheryl Crow, and everybody knows now the Tour is over. 1 day to Paris. Lance has got win number 7. Let's have a look back as he leaves the start house.
You can hear the crowd as he comes out of the starting gate. He wanted this victory. He must have got a little bit of a shock, Phil, though, early on, because of that first time check, and he saw that Ivan Basso was a little bit faster than he was. He probably had in the back of his mind just that little secret of how to pick it up down towards the end.
Great riding, what a winner.
Out on the course, though, once he got that information, he picked it up at every time check, and once he got to the second time check of the day, and that was after 35 kilometres covered, all of a sudden the name at the top was Lance Armstrong. He must have been a little bit shocked to catch Michael Rasmussen, who started 6 minutes ahead of him on the road this afternoon, but after that it was all a question of let's get it down and let's get the job done. Let me try and win this final stage. This will be the final stage that Lance Armstrong wins in his career as he heads into the outskirts of Saint-Etienne.
Well, it must be quite difficult to ride with that Lone Star flag in tow there. No wonder Lance went by him so fast, but what a ride. And he's done it in front of his children. I think that's going to mean an awful lot.
I think that was the added motivation here this afternoon. He really wanted that victory. He really did not want to go away from the Tour de France, Phil, by winning the Tour de France without taking an individual stage. Just in the top right there, that's Jim Okowitz.
And Linda, his mum, is also there. There they are, kissed for Sheryl Crow from mum. It's a perfect day in the life of Lance Armstrong, and nobody was going to spoil that. Boy, he was on fire.
He certainly was, and I tell you what, he must have suffered, Phil. You can see it in his face. He's got his glasses over his eyes there, but I think if you could look deep into his eyes, the pain was right the way through his body. But never, ever will he suffer like that again.
And just looking to the winner there, on the left seat of the car is Senator John Kerry, who went head-to-head with President Bush for the presidency of the United States, sitting right behind there. And his eyes just watching Lance perform for the very last time with a victory. But we've seen the return of Jan Ullrich. This guy has simply got better and better since this tour began. So too Alexander Vinokurov, who finishes third today. Without doubt, his finest ever race against the watch.
The most perfect race against the watch, an indicator. We've seen today, Phil, an indicator that next year we're going to have some very interesting names trying to win the Tour de France. And don't forget Bobby Julich, who finished third overall in the Tour de France a couple of years ago. He had a fabulous performance, finishing fourth. Ivan Basso, he went through purgatory today to keep himself in second place, but at least he's gone one better than he did last year.